What's going on, everybody? I'm really excited to be here today because I've seen so much on the Facebook Ram 1500 forums about the FitCamX dash cam, and today I'm going to be unboxing that to show you guys what comes in the box, and then we're going to be installing it on my Ram 1500. Alright guys, so let's cut into this box and see what we got here. So basically I chose this camera because it's a 4K, I think it says 2160p quality camera, but more importantly I got it because it's a direct replacement. It's not just one of those suction cups that you stick on the windshield, but it's a direct replacement to look like an OEM install. So it replaces part of that plastic piece right behind the rear view mirror. Yep, so you can see here, 4K Ultra HD. That's the box. We're going to open it up though to see what comes inside. Like I said, so 4K camera, direct replacement, OEM type install, so it should look as if it belongs there. There's wiring built into this that fits behind the actual unit so that we don't need to run that USB cable and then plug in another camera with that suction cup that goes on the windshield. So let's take a look and see what this looks like, and then we're going to actually compare it to what the OEM piece in the car looks like. All right, so packaging so far, the box is nice padding in here, and yeah, wow, look at that. So this, if you guys are familiar, this is the Model B. So this is the bigger version, but just looking at it quickly, it does look identical to that plastic piece that actually fits right behind your rear view mirror. So, and then there's the camera. We have a wire in here. So that's the main piece that comes in here. Let's see what else is in here. So we also have this. It says there's an SD card reader, it says in there. So let's just open it up. User manual, so we know what to do to install. Let's open this up and see. So this, I believe, is a tool to help actually remove the old one and kind of prise it off. It's plastic, so you're not going to scratch anything. So this is really good to have. Here's that actual cable. So basically you unplug the piece that's in the car, and then it plugs back in here, and then this plugs back into the OEM piece so that the power flows through as it always does, but it also provides power to the camera here. So that's pretty cool. Plastic piece, so that fits in here to finish the look. And here is the micro SD card reader. So if you guys are familiar with these, I mean, you know I do a little bit of tech stuff also. So USB, your SD card just goes in there. So I have this for, I have a bunch of these for different things, including my 3D printer and everything like that. So what we're gonna do is that at this point, I'm just gonna look at the instructions real quick, and we're going to remove the OEM one. This looks like it might be a pretty simple install. Just looking, let's look at this real quick. So in here, it looks like there's some sort of antenna in here maybe. I'm not sure what that is. But there's a wire with a piece of tape there. This is where we plug it in, otherwise it's all good. On here, okay, so here's the SD card. So this is nice. So let's just pop this out, if it's easy enough to pop out. All right, so I just push that in a little bit. And we can see, oh, it's actually branded for FitCamX. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let's see if I can get this in here close enough. Lighting might not be good, but it actually says FitCamX on the top, and it's a 64 gig card. So I don't know what brand it is. I don't know if it's an XC, which I think is pretty good speed. I don't think that's the ultra speed, like some of the SanDisk that I buy for some of the other things that I do. But this is actually nice because this is going to be on the outside. So if you ever need to get to this, oh, I don't have good fingernails for this. A little tough. If you ever need to get to this, you can easily pull it out, throw it into your computer to get some of that stuff. So, of course, I can't get, there we go. I can use just my finger. I didn't realize I'm trying to use my fingernail, and I can use just my finger to get it in. So that goes back in. Really nice because you can access it that way. You can also access it through Wi-Fi, and your phone will connect to it, and you can see live footage supposedly, and you're also going to be able to download clips from there. So we're going to actually test all that. I'm going to show you what the video looks like, but so far this looks pretty simple. I love that it's going to be an OEM look install. So let's get to the next step where I need to actually remove the one from my car. All right, so here's the piece that's behind the rear view mirror. And you can see that it looks just like the camera piece that we saw. Now the interesting part is that if you click on their video to uninstall, they kind of just put this in here and it just pops right off. I think it's gonna be a little bit more complicated than that. And then you come around to the other side and do basically the same thing. And then in the middle, this piece right here, you need to get your finger up in here. You need to pop out that middle piece. So let's see how easy this is gonna be. I don't know. So I don't think putting it on the side here is gonna do much. I think we need to put it actually on the top, and hopefully you guys can see this and my hands aren't too much in the way. So that did pop it down pretty easy, but I don't feel it really, there it goes. Now it released. So you can see that there's space here now. That was actually pretty easy. What I did is that I put it in, and I actually kind of twisted it like that a little bit. Let's see if it works on this side also. So that looks good. So now we're gonna do the same thing for the other side. You can actually see the clip in there a little bit, which is a pretty simple clip to get off. Now I'm gonna basically do the same thing on the other side. So I'm gonna go up in the top here, and I'm gonna just twist. It did pop off. So from there, I need to just get my fingers up in the middle here, and hopefully the whole thing will come down based on what they showed. My hands are. All right, guys, my son's helped me out by filming this. So what I did is that I actually took the mirror and I put it all the way down. It looks like it gives me a little bit more room, and this middle piece should just pop out. Let's see if I can get my fingers in there. If I can just, I don't want to break it. It's in here pretty good. And there it goes. Yep, so it just popped. You have to put a little bit of force on it. And now the whole piece came out. So now you guys can see what's going on in here. This is the wire that we're actually going to pull out right here. And that's going to hook into the harness. Very cool. All right, here we go. All right, so this is a new wiring harness that goes in. So the difference that you can see between what we saw in the OEM harness is that they're actually black connectors and these are white, so you can distinguish between the two. Not that you wouldn't know anyway based on how this fits in there. So now let's look at the two pieces and see if there's any differences. So the part that pops in is pretty much identical. There's really no differences at all. Actually, the FitCamX, this piece right here seems a little bit more sturdy than these thin pieces here. But the clips are the same. The size is pretty much the same. There's really not too much of a difference between those. And then when you look at this, what you're going to notice is that in here, these holes are a little bit different than the slats that they put here. But other than that, these look pretty much identical from the bottom in the way that it fits in. All the hooks and everything. And if we flip it over, pretty much identical. Other than this has the camera that comes out. And the camera has a few buttons on it, right, in your SD card. So from the side, you can't tell the difference. From here, you can't really tell the difference. Like I said, this grill is a little bit different than the one here, and then it has the camera on there. And then from this side, it's pretty much the same also. So looking at it from the front, yeah, I mean, this is going to be a very clean OEM install, which is exactly what I'm looking for. So what we're going to do is that we're going to wire it up real quick and pop it in. I mean, this is going to be a pretty quick video because this is a pretty simple install. What I'll do then is that I'll drive it around for a while and take some of the video footage and show you guys what it looks like. All right, my son is being a huge help by recording these for me because these are in tight spots. So right here, you're gonna see a little clip, a little black clip that goes in. This is gonna be the wiring that we're gonna actually put this new harness into. So I'm gonna get in here, I'm gonna push that. These feel very delicate now that I'm doing it. That comes out, you guys can see that. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slide it back into here now. That fits perfectly. And then this one is gonna plug back into where the other one originally was. So this moves around a lot. And now this is gonna be our wiring for the camera. So this I'm probably gonna wanna get out of the way. I'm gonna push this over here a little bit. I might get a zip tie depending on if this stays well or not. I mean, it's gonna be behind this plastic piece. So from here, I'm gonna actually wire this in. Let's see, there is a little, so that should be the full wiring for the camera now. We're gonna put this over here, and basically all we have to do is push this back on and clip it in now. Let's make sure that we have it where we need it. That's it, except for That's it except for this last piece that pops on. So this was the hardest part to get off. I'm gonna now pop this back in. Should be a little bit easier to get in than it was to get off. And that's it. We have an OEM install of this camera. It looks good. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna power up the car and see if we get the green light that we're supposed to get. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is start up the car. From here, you can see that there's a little power button and a camera button, but I should get some lights in here if it's connected properly. So let's see. All right, so if you can get the camera right in here, you can actually see some lights in there now. Can you look up in there and see the lights? It might be hard to see.
Blue light?
Yes. Can you see it in the camera? Oh, let me turn that music down.
What's that?
Everything looks good, so I think that we are all hooked up. What I'm going to do is that I'm actually going to see how it connects through Wi-Fi. That's what that little wire was that was taped down before. I'm going to see what the picture looks like. I can show you on the app how it works, and then we're going to drive around and I'm going to actually show you some of the footage from driving around also. So that was one of the simplest installs, really no tools other than what they provided to us, which was that blue piece that popped it out on each side. And now it looks like a stock piece. I mean, there is no difference. It looks identical. So great install. If you guys know me, I love the way that OEM installs look like. I don't like splicing wires. I don't like wires hanging out or extra pieces. I don't like suction cups on the window. My window is extremely dirty, which I'm noticing now. But all in all, so far so good. So let's see what we can do with this. So the next step is get the app to connect to the camera onto your phone. I have an iPhone, so when I used the QR code that was in the documentation, it brought me to this application called Viidure. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it, but it's Viidure. You can actually look for that since you know that this is the correct app. Otherwise, use that QR code that they provide to you. Once the app is installed, don't open it yet. What we're going to do is that you're going to make sure that the camera's on, which means that your car or truck is turned on, that blue light is showing like we showed you in the video. And then what you're going to do is that you're going to go to your Wi-Fi settings on your phone, and you need to connect to the Wi-Fi of the camera. So what they say is that the Wi-Fi is going to either start with LHD or CAR. So as you can see on mine, it starts with LHD. So I'm going to click that. I'm going to let it connect. It's going to ask for a Wi-Fi password. By default, out of the box, the password is 12345678. I'm going to put that in and connect to the camera's Wi-Fi. Now that you're connected to the camera's Wi-Fi, the next step is to open up the app, Viidure, and then you're going to click Add Camera. It's going to do a little search, and if you're connected to the Wi-Fi properly, it's going to find the camera. When I did this, I actually had to hit Add Camera, and then the iPhone prompted me to see if I would allow the app to connect to devices on the network, and I clicked OK. And then I actually had to click Add Camera again. So it wanted me to set that setting for the app first, and then I clicked Add Camera a second time, and that's when it actually found it. Immediately you could see that Wi-Fi name, which is the name of the camera, I'm assuming also, show up on the bottom very quickly, and then it brings you directly into the main screen connected to that camera. All right, once you're logged in, you're going to see a live screenshot of what your camera's seeing, but the most important thing to do right now is to click on Settings. And that's because you might want to change the video resolution because the default isn't where I wanted it. Well, let's go through the different pieces of what's in camera settings. Number one, you have sound recording. I don't have this turned on. By default, it's not turned on, but you can actually record sound. That means if you were in an accident, if you have horns beeping, things like that, I'm assuming you'd be able to hear that. I don't know how good it is, only because I don't want sound recording on mine, because it's probably also going to get everything that you're saying when you're in your truck or your car. Number two, speaker volume. I don't have any kind of sound, so I don't have the speaker. I just left it on the default for high. Now the image resolution, I want this on the highest. So I set this to 12M, which is 12 megapixel, I'm assuming, what should be the highest and the best quality image resolution. Then on video resolution, this was set to 1440, which is not 4K by default. So what you want to do is that you want to go into video resolution and you want to set it to 2160p. It's all at 30 frames per second. You're not going to get better than that. However, you want it on 4K because that's why you bought the camera at 4K. Maybe you want less. Now the difference here is that you'll actually get more recording time
if you record at a lower resolution. However, I have multiple days on here. I'm driving for maybe 2 hours a day, and I've gotten 4 days with this resolution at 2160p. The next option is loop record options. So basically what it's saying here is that do you want to loop and record over the oldest video when you run out of space, which is what you want to do. The option here though is how big of video chunks do you want? By default it was set to 1 minute. That means you get 1 minute clips, which I'll show you on the card after this. However, 1 minute clips were very short for me, so I wanted 5 minute clips. So that means it deletes 5 minutes to start a new 5 minute clip once it loops. You can make that choice. There's multiple options here. I thought 5 minutes was the best for me. Exposure compensation. If for some reason the camera is overexposed, which means it's very like hazy, like whited out, you can't get good detail, or if it's way too dark and you can't see anything because the blacks are just too black in there, you can actually change the exposure compensation to see if you can get a better picture. Timestamp, I have this turned on by default. This was on also, but if you don't have it on, you're going to want to turn it on. So now within the video, you're going to have date and time so you know what's going on. Then you have collision sensing. So basically what this does is that if it senses some kind of jerky motion, that it senses that you were in a collision, what it's going to do is that it's going to actually lock the video at that point, which means that it won't be recorded over. So it saves that content because it thinks maybe you were in an accident and you don't want to lose that footage. Worst case scenario, you lose consciousness, your car is still running, your truck is still running, and the video is still running, and technically it could write over depending what you're doing. So what it does is that it locks that video to save for you so that you're not going to lose it. Next, parking monitoring. I don't know how to test this, but what this is saying is that even if your truck or car is off, if the camera senses some kind of collision, some kind of hit to the car, it's going to turn the camera on and start recording. I don't know how that works because it's powered based on the wiring in the car that goes off when you turn the car off. I don't know if it has a battery or what. And again, I don't know how to test this. For the parking monitoring, you can turn this on or off. Then below that, what you're going to get is your Wi-Fi settings, so you can change the Wi-Fi name. You're also going to want to change your Wi-Fi password at this point in time because the default is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which we went over before. So what you want to do is change that to something only you know so people can't randomly connect to your camera. And then below that, it gives you some firmware information and just some other information. So again, just to reiterate, number one, you're probably going to want to change video resolution. You bought a 4K camera, so you're going to want to record in 4K. But at the same time, you're gonna have less ability to store more on there. The good thing is that it comes with a 64 gig card, and you can actually upgrade to a 128 gig card, which can store more. But that's the one thing that you're gonna want to change immediately if you want that 4K resolution.
All right, once you're done configuring all your settings, you're gonna hit the back arrow on the top left, which is gonna bring you back to the main screen. Here you're gonna have your live feed video. Along with that, you're gonna have two main buttons in blue right in the middle. The top button is going to start or stop the recording, and the button below that can do snapshots. What we're concerned with now is on the bottom left is hitting where it says camera file. So now I've been running this camera for almost a week, so I have some footage in here. So once you click that camera file button, you're going to have a few tabs at the top. By default, it's going to bring you to the loop tab, and you'll see that the videos are loading here. So this is going to load everything that it's going to be recording, but this is also where you'll see that it actually overwrites certain videos as you go through. To the right of that, you have the snapshot tab, which if you have any snapshots, I do not. The lock content, which we talked about before, the lock content is if there's a collision and you have that setting on, is going to put lock content in there, which means it will not be overwritten. And then parking content was that parking setting where if the camera turns itself on because it notices that there's some kind of impact or something while the car is parked and off, and it turns itself on, your car or truck will start recording and put the video footage in there. So you don't have to try and find it within the loop content. We'll focus on the loop content right here. I have a few days worth. As I scroll through here, you'll see, and you can actually play the videos right through here. So all you do is choose the video that you want to see, click on it, and it's going to start playing. You have some options at the bottom, including taking a snapshot of the video, downloading, or deleting the video.
You also have the ability to turn your phone sideways and put this into landscape mode so that you can see the video a little bit better. And you'll also see that when I click the download button, the download actually takes very long because these are 4K files, are huge. So if you really need this content, it's probably better to take the SD card out of the camera to bring it to your computer and then to offload it off of there, which I'll show you in a minute also. All right, so in your SD card, you're going to go to the Novatech folder. And then from there, we're going to go into movies because that's where we're going to see movies. There's also photos and RO. I believe RO is the additional content. So if there's any locked videos or anything like that, you'll find them in there. We're going to movie because that's just the regular loop content that I have. Through here, it looks like the videos are named based on the year, month, day, and then a timestamp. And then I think it just counts the video up. So 79, 80, 81, 82. So it has a couple different things to just guarantee that you're not going to overwrite videos with the same name. And then from there, you're going to be able to just open your video footage and take a look. All right, so I've had some actual footage from the camera playing in the background as we went through those configuration settings. Now I'm going to show you just some of the footage so you can take a look at the quality. These are 4K videos. The videos are quite large, from 700 meg up to a gig from what I've seen. And those are the 5-minute clips. So obviously a shorter clip would be less. So if you do the 1-minute clips, each file will be smaller, but altogether it'll be bigger. Again, if you go back to the 1440 resolution or something, your files will be smaller also. For me, I'm okay with having just a few days based on my driving style. So if you look at the quality here, the quality is great. You're not going to be able to read license plates from, a few car lengths away. However, at stoplights and things like that, you will be able to read them. If there was ever an accident or anything, you're going to definitely be able to see the make and model of the car, the color of the car, basically what happened. It has a good area of view, a bit of a wide angle, not huge wide angle, so that it kind of makes it like that bubble look, which is good. So you have a good area to see, and the quality is very good. So next one I want to show you is what I consider worst case scenario, nighttime while it's raining. And you can see here, while I was worried that it was basically going to just be a black screen and you're not going to see anything, you can actually make out a lot of what's going on here. Again, you're not going to be able to read license plate numbers, but you're going to be able to make out model, make of car, color of car, things like that. When there's cars coming at you, there is a reflection. The high beams or even the low beams are very bright, so it's hard to see the car coming at you, like what it is, until you get to the side of it. But once you're to the side of it, you can actually see what type of car that is. So overall, I am extremely happy with this camera. I think it's a great purchase. One, OEM install. There's basically no change to the way that the interior of your car looks. There's no weird wiring hanging out, USB cords, things like that. There's no suction cups on the windshield. Basically, it's an identical piece, just with an extension to have that camera in there. I love the look of it. I love clean installs, and this is an extremely clean install. As far as 4K resolution and the quality of this, I think the quality is good. I don't think it's the 4K that you'll get when you're watching a movie and things like that. However, for this type of camera, I believe that this is perfect for what I need it for. You guys can take a look at the video footage and see if it's something that works for you. I think it's more than clear enough, shows everything that you need to. If you need to be able to see a license plate and be able to read that license plate from 5 car lengths away while on the highway, you're probably not going to be able to do that. I don't know how much of a need there is for that. You also get a timestamp at the bottom left. The one thing it doesn't have that some people have talked about is that it doesn't have any kind of GPS coordinates. I'm okay with that because if you're following the video, you can figure out exactly where you are. You can see exactly what happened in an incident. Obviously, the GPS isn't going to be there, but do you really need that? That's up to you. I do not need that. Other than that, it has every feature and functionality that I would want to see in this. I'd like to see how I could test that collision feature to see how it locks the video. However, I'm not going to have somebody collide with my car just to find out. Overall, great product. If you guys want a discount on one of these, use the link in my description because I'm getting you guys a discount down there. And I am very happy with this, and I hope you guys are too.